Okay, so no, I'm going to ask questions and then we will have the audience ask questions as well. So let me ask, first of all, I read about you in, I don't know which paper, maybe the New York Times. There was some paper had an article and you were kind of the featured person and it was about Hotel Corona. And then a friend of mine named Tal Golan sent me an NPR piece that was about Hotel Corona in which you were featured. So my first question for you, and I'm going to mute myself, is how did you tell us about what you're doing before you got into Hotel Corona and how you ended up in Hotel Corona?
Okay, wow. First of all, hi everyone. You look really, really beautiful from here, all with nice sunshines in your background. I'm kind of upset that I'm not able to perform in the US, but at least we get to meet like this in Zoom. I'm gonna change it to gallery view so that I can see some of you. So how did I get to Hotel Corona? Wow, how did it's a question I ask myself every day. How I found myself in a hotel with a bunch of COVID-19 patients trying to recover. So first of all, I was flying out of Boston. I was based in Harvard University. I was doing a one-year fellowship program where I was developing my one-woman show. And I've been doing comedy for about 3 years after I worked in a peace-building mission in the UN. And I got fired, surprise, because the UN don't know what to do with Israelis and Palestinians. I was pursuing a political career, a diplomatic career, in peace building. And when everything kind of collapsed after a lot of hard work that I can tell you a little bit more what I was doing in the UN later, I started performing. Performing was always my biggest love, and doing comedy has always, I always loved writing comedy and telling jokes. And I didn't think that I can take all my languages and all my identities and everything and actually turned it into, my craft, where I'm talking about the same issues, but in a form of comedy. And after a few years of doing comedy, my content in Hebrew and Arabic, and the fact that I'm doing comedy for Israelis and Palestinians and all of this mix, I got an email from Harvard University telling me that they have this fellowship for practitioners in the Middle East to come and develop their projects on campus. And I got this email, saying, could you propose a project for us? I thought it was a joke, because when I was working in the UN, I applied to the Kennedy School, and of course I didn't get in. So I was like, is this some kind of a joke that now that I'm pursuing my dream, Harvard University is calling me, to come and develop my one-woman show? And so with my cynicism about the situation here and the fact that I turned to comedy to deal with these issues, I wrote to them a proposal that was half mocking the situation. And I proposed to them to develop a one-woman show called Coexistence My Ass. Excuse my French. And I didn't really expect to, receive a response from them. But 10 days later, I got an email from Harvard saying, Harvard University approves Coexistence My Ass. So in August last year, I found myself on an airplane on the way to Boston, and I started working on my materials in English and performing with them, Middle Eastern comedians in the United States and all kinds of comedians. And I ended up on big stages. I really didn't expect this year to be so amazing. And then as I was about to start my tour with my one-woman show that I've been developing at Harvard, my emails became a cancellation festival, like all of you experienced. And I had to make my way back home. It was very, very heartbreaking. And on the way home, I caught this stupid virus. And I was very, very sick. I actually had all the symptoms. And as I was recovering at home, because my symptoms were pretty bad, I was sent to the hospital. And from the hospital, I was not released back home into quarantine. I was released to a hotel where I was told, you're going to recover in a hotel with other corona patients. And I walk into this hotel, And it's the weirdest scenario that you can imagine, because we are all sick with corona, and ironically, because we are all sick, we're able to celebrate Passover together, to hug, to dance. I walked in, and the first thing that I was told is that there is a Zumba class in the lobby. Imagine, it was like the peak of the crisis. Everyone is in lockdown, no one is going out. And I walk into this hotel, and in this hotel there is ultra-Orthodox people and secular people and Palestinians and Israelis from all walks of life,
By the way,
rich.
so this is the Dan Hotel, right, in Jerusalem?
The Dan Hotel in Jerusalem, where actually it has quite a history, because it's quite on the buffer zone of the 67 border, kind of. And it was owned by Saudis in the past. And also, I don't know if you remember a politician called Rehavam Ze'evi Gandhi. He was shot there. There's an Israeli politician, a very controversial figure, who was actually assassinated there. So the hotel is kind of like already a sensitive spot. And then, I was there. I was devastated that I'm sick. I was devastated that I had to leave the United States without performing the show I've been working on so hard. And then I walk into this hotel, and everyone is getting along. And I was like, what is going on in this hotel? We needed a global health crisis. We needed a pandemic for Israelis and Palestinians to get along. I grew up in this, coexistence village called Neve Shalom Wahat Salam, which is in between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. It's a peace community. It's a coexistence experiment. My whole life I was part of, peace building issues and dialogue groups. And, as a Jew who speaks Arabic, and all my best friends are Palestinians and everything. And I've never seen such an organic and authentic kind of getting along of, people into such a weird and unique situation, that I was just very, very overwhelmed.
Well, let me ask some questions. So first of all, just going back in time, I was paying attention to a few things here. Did you mention that you were supposed to be premiering your show at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C.? So that's one of the cancellations that you gave up. Right?
And I was supposed to perform at an HBO festival for female comedians from all different backgrounds. And, one of the wonderful things that happened to me during this year at Harvard is, it's comedy almost became like a political tool for young leaders, or for even, the Ukrainian president is a Jewish comedian. So I was like, if I want to take my political career seriously, I need to start doing comedy. This is what I realized.
So is there something funny you can share from your act that is a line that you're happy with, that is funny, that would tie into what you were just talking about, comedy and the political crisis and that?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
When there's so much. I mean, in the US, I felt like, there is a lot of interest and hunger kind of, for this type of comedy. Because I come from a Jewish Iranian background. My mother was born in Iran. I got to perform in the United States with the Iranian-American comedians. I don't know if anyone knows. Do you know Maz Jobrani? Have you heard of this comedian, Maz? He's very well known in LA. So for example, he's someone, he was really excited that there is this Israeli Jewish woman who does this like peace things, and also very, very excited about, my Jewish Iranian background. And every time I went on stage with Maz, I was explaining that my Persian family, my mom has a huge Persian Jewish family. She has 8 brothers and sisters, and one of my aunties is a little bit racist, so she calls them the Muslim Brotherhood. And for American audiences to see this kind of like, mix of identities, and my kind of journey, with comedy coming, from politics, it was such, it was really an amazing kind of experience to get to share and to get to translate the materials that I perform here in Hebrew and Arabic into English. One of the things that I share with the audience is, very soon after I started doing comedy, I was really invited by Palestinian comedians to their spaces, which is something very rare. that happens here because of all the sensitivities. But because of my background and because of the fact that I speak Arabic and I grew up with Palestinians, I was invited to be the first Jewish comedian to perform in a Palestinian comedy festival in East Jerusalem. And it was very, very tense. The audience didn't know. It came as a surprise to them that a Jewish comedian is going to come on stage. And, the first time I went on stage, I was kind of cautious, and there were two guys, in the front row who were looking at me like, what are you going to tell me, that will make me laugh. And I went on stage and I told everyone, relax. I'm only going to be on stage for 7 minutes, not 72 years, then I'm out. So it's really, addressing all of these political issues on stage, because I don't need to tell you, you read the news, that it's very tough right now. We're in complete separation, also with the upcoming discussions about the annexation and all. It's very hard to find shared spaces between Israelis and Palestinians. And luckily for me, as someone who's very, very passionate about this, I found a tool that allows me to be in a space where I can talk about these issues without the fear of, you're trying to normalize the situation. Or, I'm there as an artist, as a performer, and it opens a lot of doors for cooperations and for ways to interact. One of the crazier things is that, as an activist, as a peace activist, I always felt that I'm limited. I felt like I'm not able to reach the masses. I'm not able to reach a lot of people. And then when I switched to comedy, a year after, I started doing sketches like satire in Arabic on TV in Arabic here, broadcasted all over the Middle East. And you can Google this story afterwards and you can see how crazy it was. I don't know if you remember, a year ago, we've had like 3 elections in Israel for the past year, right? Right. That? Just Yep. Nod your head if you, Yes. Yeah. So not this election, not the previous, 267 elections ago, 1 year ago, I started doing this satire sketches about the fact that I'm starting a party. I want to be a political leader. And I started doing, jokes about this, that my party is called Noam, which is my name in Arabic. And I was speaking in Arabic to the Middle East about this party that I want to start to run for elections in Israel. And by the way, I promised my grandmother that I'm going to tell you, everyone, that I'm 33 and I'm single. And I'm sorry, it's been already a few minutes that I didn't tell you, because my grandmother told me you have to say this first thing to this audience so that they know you're single. But can I add that we talked about that, and you asked if there would be any single young Jewish doctors in this Zoom session. And I said, not your age, but maybe they can introduce their grandchildren. So it's for their grandchildren. It doesn't have to be a doctor, I can settle for entrepreneur, we have all these categories in my generation. It doesn't have to be old-fashioned doctor. I'm open to suggestions. But anyway, so I brought this joke in Arabic, step forward, and I said, I'm looking for mandates and dates because I'm single, and I'm looking for a strong leader in the Middle East to help me promote my party. And I'm tall, I'm a very tall woman, so I'm looking for a tall leader. Anyways, long story short, I spoke in Arabic to the Saudi Crown Prince, MBS. Do you know MBS, Mohammed bin Salman? And I was like, yeah, not personally, but the Amazon, the Amazon friend in the United States, I think, knows him personally now. Anyways, I looked at the camera and I said, MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, and I introduced myself in Arabic, and I said, I'm starting a party. I heard you're speaking to Israelis, you're warming up ties with Israelis. Why don't you help promote my party and promote me, wink? And I was like flirting on camera. It was a pretty bad joke when I told it on TV. And I went to sleep that night, and the next morning I woke up and this item was viral all over the Middle East. And the viral title was, Zionist party leader proposes marriage to Mohammed bin Salman. And the next day in Iran, they followed up with a viral title saying, Iranian Jewish comedian made a joke, Arabs didn't get it. And so I didn't know, I'm in this diplomatic mess, in the Middle East, and I don't know if I'm between, the conflict of Iranians and Arabs or Jews and Arabs. And this video that is kind of talking about, Israeli-Saudi relations is very relevant politically, also for elections, is reaching millions. And I was like, oh my goodness, with this craft, with this thing called comedy, and you can really reach so many people. And so, yeah.
Right. So that now sets even a better base for you entering Hotel Corona. So
Right.
Hotel Corona,
Exactly.
were you just told, you were given a slip of paper and said you must report to Hotel Corona? Well, it wasn't called Hotel Corona, the Hotel Don, when you had to go?
I had to go. There was
And,
ambulances that were taking Corona patients from the hospital, and they had to take us to the Corona hotel. Yeah.
and when you arrived, had it been already named Hotel Corona, or were you there when it was given the name Hotel Corona?
I mean, the people who Dan Hotel, but everyone were saying Hotel Corona because, the news and everything. So we kind of gave it this name, and everyone picked up on it. So.
Right, and then I think they have a song about it that I believe I saw as well. So who was your roommate at Hotel Corona?
So I had two roommates. My first roommate was this gorgeous young lady who comes from a very traditional Moroccan Jewish family. She and her mom caught the virus when they were sitting Shiva in Shiva because she lost her sister to cancer just a month ago. And so people who came to mourn with them in the Shiva gave, her and her mom Corona. And her mom, unfortunately, had some medical issues. So she was separated. So her mom was in another hospital and she was in the hotel. And then after a few days of us spending time together, she was told that she can go and be with her mom in a different hotel up north. And her story was really tragic, and she really, really touched my heart. And after she left, I spent a few days alone in the room, and then I had a new roommate that was fixing medical equipment in one of the hospitals near Tel Aviv, and that's how she caught the virus. Every single person had such a different story, and a sad story. There was even an old woman with me in the hotel that she had all these medical issues before the corona, and somehow the corona solved some coughing and some other thank you, corona, you solved all my other medical issues. So all kinds of weird situations.
And there were about 200 people in there, from what I read, in the hotel.
Yeah, 200 people.
And so,
yeah.
who did you first gravitate towards after you got in there? Did you stay within a certain group? Because as you mentioned, there were Haredim, there were Chilonim, secular Israelis, and there were Palestinian Israelis. So did you find yourself kind of keeping to a certain subgroup in there, or did you immediately start interacting with the different people in the hotel?
Well, I'm always, the kind of person that is in between, because, I'm half Ashkenazi, my last name is Shuster, Noam Shuster. I always tell American audiences that they can call me Chomsky if they can't pronounce my first name. It's the other famous Noam. My dad is Ashkenazi, is Romanian. My dad looks like a Swedish sperm donor next to me. He's not, I look just like my mom. The Persian genes were stronger with me. I'm half Iranian Jewish, half Ashkenazi. I grew up with Arabs and Jews, so I always find myself in the middle. So it was like this in the hotel as well. That's why this experience was so powerful for me, because I really found myself kind of in this extremely diverse group of people who are just stuck together. And, I'm used to witnessing inequalities or discrimination that we have in our society, and different, fragments of society that don't get along. And walking in there, you speak to the Haredi people, you speak to the Palestinians, you speak to, Ashkenazi Jews, Mizrahi Jews, whatever fragments of society, but one thing for sure in this hotel is that we all got the same. We got the same food, the same towels, the same sheets, the same rooms. It was just a very different kind of, experience from everything that I've experienced growing up, the way I grew up. So I was really all the time in between, like my Arabic, and then the Jews who hear me speaking in Arabic are like, "Are you Arab? Why are you speaking Arabic?" The Arabs who hear me speaking in Arabic think I'm from the Mossad, and then I have to explain, So it's always in between.
Um, I would assume that the Haredi world was the hardest one to break down the walls with. Maybe I'm incorrect. I assume that the Chiloni, the secular Israelis, were okay interacting with themselves and with the Palestinian Israelis, but that the Haredim would have been kind of kept to themselves. I mean, were you there for Pesach, the Passover story that I heard about at NPR?
Yeah.
So can you share that with the group, for those who haven't heard it?
Yeah, first of all, I have to correct you. Your assumption is wrong. Thank God.
Okay.
It's like all of these dichotomies and all of these categories did not apply to what was happening there. On the contrary, there were Haredi people that really took it on themselves as a mission to interact, to be with other people. The feeling in Israel during this time, especially Passover, is that it's one of the biggest holidays that we have, Passover, and everyone is isolated. And I mean, you celebrated Passover over Zoom. Everyone is separated from their families, and we are some of the only people in the world, the only Jews in the world, who get to celebrate Passover together. So what happened was, the CEO of this hotel said that he doesn't want any sensitivities. He doesn't want any, any incidents to happen. So in the main dining hall where they were going to do the Seder, the CEO of the hotel said that there is going to be a split. The Haredi people can be on one side, do it in a very religious way, the way that they're used to it. And on the other side, we, the secular people and the Palestinians, can have our dinner and we can do, whatever we want. And on the evening of the Seder, and when I saw this split, I was like, okay, this looks more familiar. This looks like, unfortunately, the situation that I know. We always have barriers between us. We always have problems. We always manage to separate ourselves instead of uniting. And I was like, oh my God, Noam, you thought that you're seeing something different in this hotel, but then now we have the separation. And as we were sitting down and getting ready for the only Seder in the world where people are actually going to celebrate together, the Arabs, the Jews, the secular, the Haredi people, I see them removing the barriers. I see them removing this,
Who is removing it?
Everyone. They said, we are going to find a way to compromise and to celebrate together. The secular people, don't be with your Instagram stories when we're doing our blessings. Try to, just when we're doing, the brachot and when we're doing the Seder thing, we're gonna, respect each other, and then everyone can do whatever they want. And we found a compromise. We found a way in the middle. And then I look up, and I'm used to being the ones that is like, the peacemaker, I'm used to being the one that removes barriers all the time between everyone. And I was sitting and I didn't have to do anything. And I see other people removing this barrier. And it was a really, I'm really usually, I developed this cynicism, I treat things with a lot of cynicism now because I use it also in my comedy routines and stuff. But this was a very moving moment for me to see, representatives from all different groups just deciding to remove this barrier so that we can celebrate together. And to be honest, it was one of the happiest, best Seders I ever had in my life. And this realization that we're among the only people in the world right now that are actually together and able to interact and to pray, it was a very unique experience.
So that story about the Pesach Seders in the NPR interview, that's where I heard it.
Yeah.
What other activities, just to remind the group, what other activities were going on in Hotel Corona? I mean, I read that you did a comedy show, at least one, right, for the whole group?
I did 2 comedy shows, yeah. And there were 2 kind of beauty salons that different women kind of spontaneously opened in their rooms. I got my hair done, my makeup, the Corona salon, and guys were, you know, they were getting also their haircuts. There was a Zumba class. We had a guy who was doing yoga for us, which was really, really nice. And let me tell you, we had some party people in this hotel. Oh my goodness.
Like if Rabbi Thunberg had been there, would have been part of that crowd, is my guess. Yes. So you became pretty famous in Israel because I don't know if it was just you, but people were taking Instagram videos and images and writing about their experience in Hotel Corona, and it got out to the mainstream press in Israel, correct?
We felt like, you know, the Big Brother show where people are stuck in this house with all the cameras and it's being, you know, shown. This is how we felt. News channels, every, you know, blog, you know, articles that were, everybody were on us. I felt like a media hub. The international media, everyone were really on top of this. And for me, it was challenging because on one hand, you know, I'm a public figure and this is what I live off of, you know, these stories and storytelling. But on the other hand, I was trying to recover myself. You know, I'm looking at videos now and I'm looking at things that I did there, and I really don't know how I found the strength within this feeling of loss that I experienced coming back from the US without completing my project and becoming sick and all of these things that were getting on for, you know, it was some kind of a distraction. Wow, it was intense, but also I'm so thankful that I got to experience this because I really saw something that I've never experienced in my life before. So,
given that you, and we'll talk about maybe some vignettes in a second, given that you had Haredim, secular, and Palestinian Israelis, again, I'll make an assumption for you to correct. Did people dress the way they would dress normally outside the hotel, or did Haredim dress differently than the secular? Or did secular dress the way they wanted to, even though they were Haredim or Palestinian Israelis? How did that work there? Did people walk around in their yoga pants all day? What was the general?
I think it varied. We were not very, no one was very fancy, but for Passover, for the Seder, people got dressed up. But I would say that everyone were pretty casual. But the Haredi people, they dress the way they usually dress. And I think each one, you know, the girls with the hijab stayed with the hijab.
But did people,
yeah.
like, you know, if you walk into a Haredi neighborhood and you're not dressed appropriately, you get the stares, or at worst, I don't know if they still do, throw things at you. If you're in a hotel stuck with them and you're dressed the way you are right now, were they offended?
No, people were very respectful. There were a few, you know, just a small amount of people that were worried about it, that in the Seder, someone, you know, will come dressed like this. But as I said, these voices were heard and we adjusted and we respected it, but it wasn't the voice ultimately that dictated what the rest of the people are going to do. We found a compromise.
Did you have, Debbie Moline asked, did you have substantive political discussions without arguing with people? Like, because you're stuck, how long were you stuck in the hotel? How long were you there?
I was there for 2 weeks. 2
Did
weeks.
you, right, so
a
over
free
meals?
Hotel for 2 weeks for Israelis.
Right. I think were you the one that joked that said you were wondering if people were really there who were sick, or did they get sick on purpose to get to the hotel because you get a hotel room and free food?
On my comedy show, in the hotel, I told them my patient number in Israel was 3,555, which is Hamsa. You know the term Hamsa for us in Judaism, it's like a sign for good luck. And I told them I want to bring this Hamsa, 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 good luck for you, so that we all leave the hotel. They were like, no, we don't want to leave the hotel. We want to stay here. So it's a free hotel. So I was like, wait a minute. Who is here because they really got sick, and who is here because they were licking benches outside for a free ride in a hotel? So it's a very weird situation that the army and the government is like subsidizing a hotel experience for you, you know.
Well, see, and we'll get to the question. We'll get to the substantive question. By the way, is Hotel Corona still open and operating that you know of, or is it closed now?
No. When I left the hotel, in the end of April, the hotels were turning into just quarantine hotels where people from abroad were coming in if they didn't have a place to isolate, so they would be brought to the hotel. And the Corona hotels closed
My understanding, though, is first
after
of
I
all,
left.
you're right. There are multiple places to go, so you happen to be sent to this Hotel Corona. You could have been sent to another location, but this is the
Yeah,
only one. Is this the
yeah.
only one that had the mixture of the Arab Israelis, the Haredim, and the secular in it that you know of?
I think every hotel had this mixture, but I don't think other hotels had this, like, this experience that we experienced. I think something about Jerusalem and something about the deep fragmentations that met each other in Jerusalem manifested this kind of festival.
So I'll go back to Debbie and Maline's question. So did you have substantive conversations, or did you witness substantive conversations between different
Yeah,
groups? And tell us
yeah.
about what you heard or saw or participated in.
Yeah, it was some of the most fascinating things, because really I'm a political animal. I love, analyzing. I'm usually the center of these conversations. And in this hotel, sometimes I was sitting in the lobby, bored on my Instagram, whatever. Then I hear a conversation between a Haredi guy who his parents came from Algeria, and he was sitting with the Palestinian guy, and I didn't have anything to do with this conversation, and I'm listening to them, and and I hear that they're having a political discussion, and the Jewish guy is telling the Palestinian guy, my brother, my family comes from Algeria. We are North African. We are Arab. My parents, they speak Arabic at home. Before 1948, before the Jews came from Europe, before the Ashkenazis came from Europe and changed everything here, we used to be the same. We used to share the space. It's the European thing that caused all this problem for us. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, what is this very radical political conversation that they're having? And it's like a very religious Haredi guy who's having like this deep radical conversation with a Palestinian guy, and it wasn't formulated, it wasn't designed, it was just like these organic, very interesting identity conversations that I don't think these people would have met if they didn't find themselves in this hotel. So it was just so fascinating, and it was happening all the time. We had an old Moroccan couple who are, religious, and they were singing Kulthum songs and Arabic songs with the Bedouin teenagers in the lobby. And there was so many breaking of stereotypes. There was one young Bedouin woman that was constantly babysitting the babies of the ultra-Orthodox families. And it was just, yeah.
Crazy. So it's going to be a movie soon, right? Have they approached you for the rights to make this into a movie?
It's in process, yeah.
So
Actually.
was there anybody in particular that you became very close with at the hotel, and do you still keep in touch with anybody from the hotel now that you're out?
Yeah, actually, there was a really, really amazing woman that became a friend. She's a midwife in a hospital. Did you meet a nice tan man? Well, I was too busy doing my comedy. I didn't pay attention. A tall man. He was tan and tall. That's fine. That's my problem, that I'm so inspired by politics and comedy and people interacting, that I sometimes don't notice if there are cute people around me. So I probably missed some cute tall men. But so this one a friend that I made there, her name is Rafa, a Palestinian midwife who works in Hadassah Hospital. She lost her husband to cancer a month before she came to the hotel. She has 5 children that she left at home, and after they lost the father, she decided that she's not going to stay at home and mourn over his loss for a long time. So she went back to the hospital. They needed her in the hospital with all the corona crisis and everything, and she actually got the virus while delivering, she's a midwife, so in one of the labors. And then she found herself in this in the hotel, and we developed a really special connection. She was also very kind of central figure in the hotel. Someone is asking about the masks. We didn't have to wear masks in the hotel because we're all already sick. Some older people were were wearing masks just in case in the hotel, but we were.
Because everybody in the hotel had been sick with corona and were already recovering, and you were sent back in order to recover, to keep out of society for 2 weeks so that you wouldn't infect other people. So everybody there was sick, other than the one person who was the manager of the hotel, right? He wasn't sick.
Right, and he was staying, in the reception behind the plastic.
Right. Right. So going back, so this one person you met, the woman.
Yeah, and
midwife.
Yeah, and she. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we keep in touch. I went to visit some of the Bedouin girls also in the south, and I met their families. And I think a lot of people who came out of this hotel, and also a lot of people who are recovering from COVID, I think we're all experiencing a little bit of anxiety and loneliness and depression and uncertainty. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm definitely experiencing this. I wanted to donate plasma, but the hospital didn't take my plasma because my iron is very low. So they're checking now if it has to do with corona. And one of the things that it's just like, no one really knows what is happening, and I don't even know if it was okay that we were all in this hotel without masks, hugging each other and kissing and laughing, and no one knows anything. And even now when we're out, recovering in recovery after this, we're finding out all of these side effects for people who are recovering, and it seems like we're almost like the ones that are teaching the world how it looks like to recover from it, and what we know about it.
Do you feel like you're fully recovered physically right now?
Physically, I don't know. I feel weaker. I don't know if it has to do because I lost a lot of weight during the disease itself. During the time I was sick, I lost a lot of weight, and now, my iron is very, very low. But I don't know if it's connected to it, or it's because I lost my sense of taste and smell when I was sick. I wasn't really eating, so I don't know if it's still, my body is still recovering from the fact that I almost didn't eat for a few weeks. By the way, that's another joke that people hear, comedians who are asking me, how was it being sick? And I say that I lost so much weight, and I was on CNN and NPR, and they're like, basically I got skinny and famous. And so they're all running to see how they can get COVID as well.
So we'll go back 1 second because people are asking a technical question. So you were at the hotel. You guys weren't wearing masks because you were all 200 people who were recovering or sick, but you had to have staff serving, like who was serving the food and who was taking care of you. Didn't you have a staff that was actually not sick that was at the hotel wearing masks and hazmat suits?
So the staff were behind plastic banners upstairs in the reception, far away from us. And 3 times a day when they were coming to give us food, we were told to step away from the lobby, far away. And they were coming on, the staff came with full suits, protective
hazmat suits, right?
Yeah, and they put the trays on a huge table. And when they finished distributing the trays with the food, they left back to their safe zone, and then we were told that we can come out. Okay. So we didn't interact with them, and we protected them.
Got it. And one other technical question. Paulette wants to know if you've recovered your sense of taste and smell yet.
Yeah, my sense of taste and smell is back. Hopefully my sense of humor is back as well. And my appetite is not back, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it has to do with maybe a little bit of feeling down and these uncertain times that a lot of people are experiencing regardless of COVID, but my appetite is not back. And I feel weaker than I felt before.
Okay. A few questions because you have a few minutes left. Mike Rubin asks, do you think that the experience in Hotel Corona for you, but not so much for you because you were already in a certain way thinking about these complex issues, but for the other people that were there, the Palestinians, Israelis who may not have ever met with Haredim or other Jews before, the Haredim who may have not met with interacted with secular Jews or Palestinians before, do you think it has fundamentally changed their perspectives, those people? And do you think that they, when they go back to their community, will be able to change their own community?
Absolutely.
Or is this kind of a blip in time? What do you think?
I mean, I think it's a mix of everything. I think on the one hand, this example is just going to stay a very unique experience in my head where, where it's just this very rare and unique opportunity that is not going to fix itself. It's not going to repeat itself because we were all stuck and it's a crisis and it's a global pandemic and blah, blah, blah. That's on the one hand. But on the other hand, this human experience and this radical compassion that we all experience together and, this little glimpse that things can be different and things can be okay and we can really organically be together in a format of getting along and getting the same things and being equal with each other and treating each other with respect that I really don't think anyone in the hotel is going to forget.
Well, hopefully you'll have a reunion, Hotel
We're
Corona
thinking
reunion.
about it. We have a WhatsApp group. One of the funniest things that I say in my comedy now is you should have seen, when the Jews were getting along for Passover, we get rid of the chametz, right? How do you say chametz?
Yeah, chametz. Same word, yes.
And so there was a guy called Muhammad in the lobby. Every 2 minutes, he used to send us a WhatsApp message like, hey everyone, happy Passover. Don't forget to bring the chametz to my room 429. And the Muslims in the hotel, they were preparing for Ramadan. They had their own thing to celebrate, to fast and everything. And because the hotel was kosher, they wouldn't let them bring their own food inside. So one of the girls were making stuffed grape leaves and they were smuggling them inside bags of clothes and stuff. Listen, if I really write this comedy in a format of a feature or a sitcom, it's going to really be hilarious. There was all the absurd things that can happen between Jews and Arabs in one hotel. It's still so fresh in my mind that So
what can you share any other comedy that you're working on based on the hotel? This is our audience. This is like an audience. You can just throw out some jokes. You can see if people laugh. If it doesn't laugh, what do you care? You're never going to see these people. Wendy Lupel, you never see her again. Just throw out something funny. Like what can you share?
I love that. I didn't catch the name, but someone is taking notes here and writing the nice terms that we have.
Oh, that's Debbie Malene. She works for the JCC out here.
Okay, that's great. I'm working on a new app that is a dating app for Corona patients.
That's a joke or that's a real thing?
It's a joke that I'm trying out.
Right.
I want you guys to come see my show after I've developed.
Right. People have asked. I mean, is the show like? You mean the new show? What about your old show, the Coexistence My Ass? Is that show like? Can you see it somewhere right now? Is it recorded?
I mean, there are two options. I'm either gonna do it online, and then I'll definitely send you info about it. I think that when I come back to the US, the Corona thing is either going to be a whole show as of itself, or a chapter in Coexistence Maz, because I wasn't preparing for this to be part of my journey right now, but now I'm working hard on, you know, doing some writing and developing this into my act. And also, you know, asking God, why me? Why out of everyone? I'm always the chosen one. and God put me in this hotel with all these people so that I can continue doing comedy. So
Did you make any friends in the Haredi world?
yeah, there's a rabbi who's working very, very hard right now on finding me a shidduch.
Good.
You know what? In the hotel, the only thing that people were talking about, it was not Corona. It was finding me a husband. It was the hottest topic in the hotel. I'm telling you, Jews don't care. You're sick, you're not sick, global pandemic, virus, not virus, get married, get a husband. It was definitely the hot topic.
Did you
So
keep
if I get
sorry.
married, I'm going to invite all the Corona hotel to my wedding.
Good. You can invite us as well. You might as well invite everybody. You get a lot of gifts, and we can't come. Did you keep a diary, or did you write down your experiences? I knew you had like regular Instagram type sharing, but did you write anything or?
Yeah, we shared on Instagram, and I was doing a lot of writing, and also I was being documented by a director who is in Brooklyn right now, but she's in the process of making a documentary film that is going to be released, and she really did an amazing job. She got people in the hotel to record me, to record everything. We documented so much, and so it was heavily documented. So it's going to be in a format of, you know, a script, a documentary, everything. You will get everything.
Things have pretty much, well, relatively settled down because Israel has opened up even before we did here. But my understanding is things are not going well there as it's not going well here. Can you tell us what you're seeing in Israel right now?
Yeah, well, things are not looking very good here. I think we're experiencing some kind of a second wave situation. There's a little bit of a regression back. The numbers are not looking very good. I think that in the next few days, the restrictions are going to come back. Only today, I think there were like 600 new cases.
Okay. We'll keep watching. Do you feel do you feel that you have a stigma because you had COVID? Do other people feel stigmatized by having COVID? And are people worried that you're still contagious? Like, do your friends and family, are they coming to see you, spend time with you, or are they still?
Yeah, I would say that people have this instinct of like, oh, you had Corona, you know, stay away from me. But then a second after that, they realize that I'm safer than other other people. So it's a very weird situation where people are, there's a stigma, but a second afterwards, the stigma is, you know, out the window, and people realize that they can be next to me. So it's just, yeah.
Do you think a solution to the whole Palestinian, Israeli, and Haredi secular division in Israel, we just have required Corona hotel stays for the population throughout the year? In other words, just like you get called up to the army, you get called up, and sorry, 1 week you're going to this hotel, you're in it, and just would that solve the problem?
I wish we could, instead of getting military training, we can get civil training on how to get along between different fragments of our society. I think that will make Israel great again. Just kidding. That will make Israel such a strong, you know, it will make our society so much stronger. But then things will be better here, and I will not have any stand-up material, so it's not good for me.
Have you been contacted by any like people who want to write this up into a real movie? You said there's going to be a documentary, but have you been contacted by Hollywood about this at all? Have they reached you yet?
I've been contacted by one of the best Palestinian comedy directors that I admire, and it's in very, very first stages. We're in conversation. These things take a lot of time, and I can't tell you more details, but there is a big production company that is very interested in this story.
Okay. Anybody have any last
So
questions? We have a few minutes left. I promised we would keep this to 1 hour. It's late in Israel. Debbie
yeah, I'll
Meline
vote
says she'll vote for you. So,
election.
so are you thinking about revitalizing your party for the next Israeli election?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I honestly, took on this journey to be, a public voice through, a creative realm so that I can build up a different, political consciousness here in the hearts of and minds of people, because politics here is so exhausting and people are so sick and tired from the word peace, the word coexistence. People are tired from right wing, left wing. And so I'm really trying to see how we can form a new language that can really speak to people. And I hope it will result some kind of a political power, a positive political power in a few years, because comedians today are taking on big roles.
They are. Okay, everybody. Is that it? I'm trying to think what else I can ask. So after CSP, what's your next big online presentation? I mean, you had 100 and at the height over 140 screens here. It's like 160, 175
Yeah.
people. We're hanging out with you at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time and 3:30 East Coast time. So what's your next big gig? What's your next big show?
You caught me in a very good week, because this week all the schools are going on vacation, and so we have a few schools in Israel that are mixed, Jewish Arab bilingual schools like the one that I went to, and I am doing shows the whole week for Jewish and Arab teachers and educators and leaders in different communities who have worked really hard on peace education and Jewish Arab education, and they get to have their end of the year show with me where they get to laugh about themselves and everything. So I just had a show now for teachers, and I have one tomorrow and another one on Wednesday. So you caught me in a very exciting week where I actually feel like I'm doing something after,
Right.
yeah.
I will try to share with the group the NPR interview and
Yeah.
the articles that I haven't shared with them for a reason, because I wanted them to hear it from you.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe if there's some fun stuff you have to share from your Instagram account, that'd be funny. That I can share, that'd be great. The final question, Sai Zilberstein asks, is the Israeli government like monitoring you now and other people who've had COVID to see how you're doing, or they basically let you out of the hotel and said, call us if you need us?
Yeah, we were monitored just for plasma donations, and maybe they're monitoring us in a different way that I don't know about. You never know in Israel.
Right.
But we were contacted by there are different medical departments in hospitals that have decided to monitor people who recovered from corona, and it's pretty amazing. I went to a hospital for a full day of tests. They checked my lungs. I was speaking with a psychologist. They took my blood test. So it's one of those situations where you don't know if they're using you for data or they really want to help you, or it's both. And I feel like I'm being supported, and it's a good feeling. Because there is a sense of wanting to help and also wanting to know what happens to people after they recover. And if there's one thing that we are clearly doing better than you guys in the US is healthcare. So yeah.
Okay. Not to get too political, but what's the feeling about the annexation situation?
Wow, it's so frustrating because there isn't a public discourse about it. People are numb, they don't care about it. I don't think the Israelis are fully aware of the high cost that we are going to pay, not specifically for the annexation, for the fact that it's being translated as a one-sided move. And the Palestinians are not around the table, and it's going to create more separation, more violence, more detachment of both sides. And it's not going to be easy, because the cycles of violence are going to continue, because we're not negotiating and we're not reaching a solution. And the United States, unfortunately, is not being viewed as a very fair broker in the eyes of the Palestinians.
Right. Well, I'm not going to go too detailed because this is a
Yeah,
detailed issue. I
of
just bring it
course.
up. But the feeling on the
But
street there, is it going
but
to happen
that's
or is it not going to happen? What do you think?
it's going to. The feeling is that it's going to
That's
happen
the
because
feeling.
it's something that Netanyahu. It's something that Netanyahu, I think, wants to.
Okay. Well, monitor. That's like a whole different subject, and
A
I
whole
don't see
different
there's no humor
subject.
in that yet. So
Oh, there is so much humor in that.
okay.
I just recorded a sketch comedy about it today. Maybe
Oh,
I can share it with you when it's
okay.
out. So
That'd be great. Whatever you share with me, I'll share with this group. They promise not to share things. Rhea Dorn, who we're honoring today, says she will personally make sure that no one shares this with anybody. Rhea's right down there. She's doing the okay. She will monitor because Rhea sits in her room, monitors. She has the passwords for everybody's account here. So she
okay.
monitors what they send out.
Someone is asking for my Instagram account.
Okay. You want to share that
Do
before we
it.
go?
Sure.
Is
It's
that okay?
Noam Noam _ June JOON.
Is there a
And
reason
if
for that?
you
No, why the
June
Joon?
is June in Farsi, my mother tongue is. It's like a neshama, like a
The
soul.
soul,
So
spirit,
yeah. So and you can see if you know Instagram, because all of you are marvelous young people who are using Instagram. On in the stories of Instagram, there is highlights called Hotel Corona, and all the stories that we shared from the hotel are there. So.
And then I know you're on Facebook because that's how I found you. So just under your name, Noam Shuster on Facebook.
Right, I have an artist page where I share shows and content, and you're welcome to like it.
And then if anybody knows of what age, gentlemen, are you looking for? Is there an age? 30. I mean, you're 33, right? So do you prefer like
I'm
same age, a
33,
little
yeah.
older? I'm just because this group is going to find you someone, so they need
It
to email.
depends on the.
Should they email me and I'll email you pictures and bios? How does it work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Emails, bios.
Ahuva's working on it already. I can
kidding.
tell. It's in her brain. She's working on it.
Great.
So we would like a photo. Noam apparently is a little superficial. So photo first. Then we'll do bio. And then a little bit of background. Sharon Keller says, translate June as dear. Okay, Sharon is one of our experts and she knows a lot about
dear,
many things.
when you say someone Noam June, it's like Noam, my dear, like
Right.
good
Thank
soul,
you.
my dear. Yeah.
Thank you, Sharon. Okay, Susan Glass, you're still recovering, so you have a lot of time to think of, matches for Noam. When the match happens, I want it to be from CSP, and then you all get invited to the wedding online, though. Noam, don't worry about paying for anything.
It's gonna be like a chuppah on the Zoom with CSP.
Right.
That's
right. A chazuma. I can't. A zupa. Whatever. We'll do something. You'll all be invited, but please think. Noam, but they have to be very tall. What's the height minimum in
I'm
inches?
5'11".
You're
No, but I
5'11"?
don't discriminate.
Okay.
I don't discriminate.
No
I'm not a
short Jewish
superficial
men,
person.
please. Okay.
I
Tall
went to
Jewish men.
Brandeis,
So you went to Brandeis. Okay. It's funny you didn't meet someone at Brandeis. And okay, fine. Jake Jacobs wants to know, do you care what country the husband will come from? Like, do you want an American? Do you not want an American? Would you like a European?
I think now a U.S. passport is not that sexy
True.
anymore because of the crisis that you guys have. So my passport is even more sexy now than your passport.
Okay, so but you would marry an American if you had to, right?
If I had, of course.
Okay.
I would marry a good man. You know, sometimes reporters or something, when they are exposed to my story, so they ask me, would you marry an Arab? Would you marry an Arab guy? Would you marry a non-Jew? Would you marry a goy? And then I say, only if they're a doctor, because it's, it's funny, but it's like I don't want to sound like a cliche, but I'm really looking for a partner, a good person. And also my Persian grandma, after I turned 30, she had a heart-to-heart discussion with me, and she said, Noam, now you are 30 years old, you can marry a non-Jew.
Okay.
She gave me a permission.
She just wants grandchildren. Okay, well, I think we'll end on that note. Yes, we'll end on that. No, thank you so much.
You can marry a goy.
Okay.
You can marry a goy.
We look forward. Is she on Zoom, by the way? Can we bring her on next time? Your grandmother? No?
Okay. Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, everybody, thank you. I got to get back to work. Have a great Monday. Tomorrow, don't forget, a lot of you are coming back, a lot, to hear one of the preeminent constitutional law professors in America, Dean Erwin Chemerinsky, talk about what is going on with our Supreme Court, the Roberts Court. I don't know if you've been following what's going on, but look up the Supreme Court and the decisions that have come out in the last 10 days. They've been very surprising, very interesting. We still have about 10 cases to be decided, I guess, tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow is one of the last days. So join us tomorrow. We'll see you all later this week. Noam, thank you so much. I'll be in touch with you. And everybody have a great Monday. Be healthy.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Bye, Noam.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.